Alrighty, well, we are live and welcome. A very, very happy Thursday. Welcome to the TNC Sports Talk. My name is Justin. Today is April 9th of 2026. I want to welcome everyone in. For those who are watching us on Riverside FM or watching us on our TNC Sports Talk YouTube page, we deeply appreciate you guys tuning in this hour or even just hitting that like, share, and subscribe button. If you guys are just tuning us in for the first time, please be sure to have those notifications on so you don't miss a single episode. And so you can stay connected until for everything that's going on. I do want to apologize for not having an episode yesterday. We've been dealing with a lot of computer issues, a lot of connection technical difficulties. I actually had to get the technician to come out here yesterday and take a look at our internet connection, and we got it all taken care of. I'm not going to go into details. Really, I can't even explain it myself. But they said that we got it all up and running again, so I'm excited. I'm thrilled. That's beyond us. It kind of really just helped our conversations heading into today. But we do have some sports conversations coming your way. We'll talk about the Cincinnati Reds. They're currently in action today, taking on the Miami Marlins. They wrap up a four-game series this afternoon. So you guys could check out that game on Reds TV or even tuning into it on WLW 700 and see if the Reds could win this series or will they tie this series. Now, the good thing that comes off of that is that the Reds are going to at least finish off with a winning record heading into the weekend where they come back to Great American Ballpark where they take on to get ready to take on the Los Angeles Angels. But man, wouldn't you just want a series win against the Marlins, who they've kept games pretty close, only lost a handful. We'll talk about some Reds baseball as look, and I'll tell you, injuries are going to hurt. And a new injury that I didn't even know happened, that Jose Trevino had. We'll talk about that and what that meant for the organization and who they ended up calling up here today. We got some baseball talk to talk about, some big monumental records. Plus, man, on Tuesday, I'll tell you that the Braves and Angels game, if you missed it, you missed it. It was a nice little brawl. A couple suspicions have gotten out on the team. And then we'll kind of wrap up and get you guys in the conversation of what happened, some wrestling talks. We are on the road to WrestleMania as that continues. It is full swings away. And I've always envisioned that the road to WrestleMania started Monday, the Monday before WrestleMania. Then you'd have this week long event going on in the city that WrestleMania is held, usually at the convention center. Okay. And this is where people who are coming into town can check out the venue, could check out the alumni, the pop-up booths, you walk into your entrance, they have a little ring for some extra matches, just for pure entertainment. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I'd never been, but watching videos, seeing photos, I could just imagine the credibility that it brings to the table. Then you rolled into SmackDown that Friday, then the Hall of Fame ceremony, and then WrestleMania, usually with NXT and WrestleMania, NXT Stand and Deliver, and then WrestleMania. But as changes have pursued, right? This is you kind of expect SmackDown tomorrow to be a pretty big show, probably the biggest of the season, because next week you're not really going to have anything. You're gonna have your undercards have a performance, and it's kind of meant for that. The table's set. We really don't have a lot of extra spiel for it. So we'll talk some WrestleMania matches. Want to start having those open conversations, maybe break down some events and whatnot. But Boy, you know, a 5-game winning streak is a 5-game winning streak, however you look at it. And the Reds ended up dropping to the Marlins 7-4 yesterday. Brady Singer, he didn't perform well. 2 2/3 of an inning, giving up 10 hits, 6 runs, and 3 walks. It makes you tell yourself, thank goodness that Rhett Lauder, Brennan Williamson, and Chase Burns are pitching well. Because a performance that you expect a lot better coming out of Brady Singer here. Okay. They you would have expect this, the notion of, look, you got to give us 5 innings. I don't care you give up runs. I don't care if we win or lose, but you got to give us 5 solid innings in an outing so that our bullpen can work. We're in the middle of this 10-game stretch with that consumed a 3-game sweep over the Rangers, a 2-game win thus far against the Marlins, and we still have the Angels this weekend before we have a day off. And you called into our bullpen in the 3rd inning. Now, give credit to the bullpen holding their ground, both 2 out of the 3 pitchers called upon, which is maximum work between the pitchers we have option. But they were asked to go in and pitch 2 innings each. And it's not a good sign. We're in the middle of the stretch, and you're looking that now you're asking yourself, and Rhett Lauder, who's out there on the mound right now, you're asking yourself to say, hey, I need you to go in and give us 6 solid outings. So the game is currently in the 4th inning. The Marlins are up 1-0. And so far we're seeing Lauer hold his own. Because the bullpens, the 3 pitchers that pitched yesterday, well, they're not available today. So it is a little bit troublesome. I get it. We're not going to get all the games perfect. We're not going to have every outing as much as we like it to be, but it's a bad timing. Well, talk about this news related. Cincinnati Reds Jose Trevino was placed on the 10-day IL due to a thoracic spine strain. He was dealing with this spine strain that apparently he's had for quite some time. His last game he played was on April 4th, and he hasn't played since then. They decided to place him on a 10-day IL, and they called up P.J. Higgins to the Major League, which he is playing today. That also forced Christian Encarnacion Strand to be DFA, designated for assignment, to be removed from the 40-man roster. This is blame me, but I did not necessarily pay attention to what the 40-man roster held. Okay, that's my fault. I will omit to that. That's my, aggression here. I should have paid attention. But didn't we carry 3 pitchers? Wasn't Will Benfield on the 40-man roster? And why didn't we think of putting another catcher on the 40-man roster? Like, it baffles me because of injuries like this, forcing us to get rid of a player who look, I'm not necessarily saying that Christian Encarnacion Strand is a good ball player and he's an important key to this organization, but he's depth at the third base side. Maybe the Reds are thinking, you know what? Noel V. Marte could play third. Spencer Steer could play third. Sal Stewart could technically play third. Are we really in depth? Because that's not their primary position. As a matter of fact, the only two people I see playing third is Key Brian Hayes and Gino Suarez. But what else do the Reds have? I don't know. I personally think that Christian Encarnacion Strand is a better. He's one who shouldn't have been released. Now, this option is easy. You could become a free agent. You could completely release him from your squad. You could once he passes through the assignment, he can be traded, or you could just agree to play AAA for the Reds without being part of the 40-man roster. He spent 3 years in the major leagues. He's only played 128 games. He's had a total of 468 plate appearances with 55 runs, 109 hits, 21 home runs, 72 RBIs, 21 walks, and 136 strikeouts. So far down in AAA, he's batting .222 in 10 games. He's had 5 runs, 8 hits, 2 home runs, 2 walks, and 14 strikeouts. I get a little concerned, and this is just me. It's nothing personal, but I am one who enjoyed watching Christian Encarnacion Strand. One that I think he develops quite nicely down in the minor leagues, and he can be a depth player for us at the majors. And I feel like we should have kept him. I feel like but then you ask yourself, well, if we kept him, who do we have to get rid of because we had to make way for somebody on the 40-man roster? So, it's just one of those things where, not necessarily uh, I'm pleased about it, but it is what it is. PJ Higgins, who got caught up, he's playing in today's game. He played 5 games in AAA. His batting average is 83 with a hit allowed, an RBI, and 6 walks and 3 strikeouts. Now there is an importance to the catching position. I personally don't think highly of catchers to perform offensively. Maybe. Sorry, I got the Reds game on in the background. They're just checking that out. But something that I am, I think of catchers since they gotten rid of the pitcher, pitching, is that usually the catchers need to be focused on calling ball games. Usually the catchers are ones for me that's not going to obtain a 220 or better batting average. If so, you have yourself a really good catcher. They're focused on calling the games. They're focused on playing defense, and getting back out there on the field. And I was looking at some statistics that I don't have pulled up. I wanted to pull up. Let's wanted to review some statistics. We're kind of a week into this. Um, there you go. So I wanted to look at some stats, and the stats that I'm following right now, okay, are your batting averages. You have Tyler Stevenson, who's batting 167. Spencer Steer batting 184. 192 for Will Benson. You're batting 178 for TJ Friedel. 97 for Key Brian Hayes. PJ Higgins just got called up. Noelvi Marte is batting 150. And 91 for Jose Trevino, who was just placed on the IL. Nathaniel Lowe currently holds the least amount of games played, followed by Ketel Marte. And, I just, it's not all sunshines and roses. The record says that we're 8-4, and that we are a team who is getting the job done. But you could definitely tell that this Reds team is getting it done defensively, not offensively. And so I'm asking myself, what or how long do we wait before we start saying anything about the performance of the Reds' offensive ability? When are the bats going to wake up? And right now, we don't need to worry about that because we do have our bullpen that are being tested, but our bullpen that are, is keeping this team in good notes. So it's just a personal preference here. Um, we'll wrap up a series here. We'll take on the Angels, and I guess we'll look forward to what's next. And hopefully that the weekend has a better performance. But let's take a look at what's going on around the National League Central. Every team except for the Reds are on a travel day. Um, we will tell you about their series and what you can expect from them tomorrow. As a matter of fact, let's just pull it up. We had the time. Let's just pull it up and give it to you. But Chicago won the series against Tampa Bay. Okay. They lost on Monday, won Tuesday and Wednesday. San Diego beat Pirates in a 2 out of 3 series. They won on Monday and Wednesday, turned some things around and got back on the winning ways. The Cardinals took 2 out of 3 against Washington on the road. And then Milwaukee only won one game. They lost the series to the Red Sox, losing on a 2-game losing streak. Heading into tomorrow, the Pirates and the Cubs begin a 3-game series, followed by the Angels over in Cincinnati to take on the Reds. The Brewers are hosting the Nationals in a 3-game series. Boston are over in St. Louis, take on the Cardinals. It's just funny how the schedule kind of unfolds in that way that, you just saw Milwaukee in Boston and Washington home to St. Louis. So, but I digress that. And that is what's going on down in the minors. Is it me or is this time just flying by slow here? All right. We're going to continue with our sports conversations here. And the Cincinnati Reds are among the 8 teams that are going to hold new City Connect uniforms in 2026. Okay, you get your City Connect uniforms today. They first launched 2021. The brand of alternate uniforms have presented teams in novel colors, typefaces, and graphics that are designed to reflect cultural aspects of each team's home city. Teams Teams are able to rotate their new jerseys after 3 years to debut a new look for each of the 8 teams involved. Thursday's announcement. This is the second installment of City Connect uniforms. The looks come with the Atlanta Braves, Baltimore Orioles, the Cincinnati Reds, the Kansas City Royals, Milwaukee Brewers, Pittsburgh Pirates, San Diego Padres, and the Texas Rangers. The reflective of the energy and pride for each club's community, offering bold and expressive interpretations that celebrate both team history and what's ahead for the game. So, the new Atlanta Braves. Let's look at that real quick. It's powder blue tops. Okay. The powder blue uniforms of the 1980s were the inspiration of the modernized design with red piping. An updated Atlanta script and the ATL block letters sleeve patch. The team's contemporary color scheme is paired with the throwback style. So It is a lowercase letter A on the bill cap, and that is a powder blue cap. I There is a powder blue jersey with the Atlanta lettering, dark blue numbers. Comes with white pants. It's a red and blue stripe down the side of the pants. Looks pretty nice. I actually like the jerseys. I think the jerseys are colorful. I like the powder blue. It's powder blue, and I really do enjoy it. One of my favorite ones. And then they have these blue socks. I don't know what the design of the socks are to say. The Baltimore Orioles will have a new uniform that owes through it way back to the 1890s Baltimore Baseball Club for inspiration for the old school B on the cap of, and then the uniform design pays tribute to the Camden Yards with motifs that include a brass home run plaque and a wrought iron scoreboard clock. The Oriole bird sits perched atop of the Be More letters. So the uniform, okay, it feels to me a little bit more of a college uniform. It's a white and like greenish bill cap with the white plastered up front with the letter B, like almost like a Bruin B. Up at the front, it's like a yellow bill cap there. The jersey is primarily white. It has green going down the sleeves with the white, yellow trim along the sides. It says be more with the athletic, with an Oriole bird sitting on top. Is the Oriole bird is green and yellow, and it comes with kind of like a greenish. So almost, like I said, I resemble more of like a college uniform there. Um, I think they're okay. I'm not really maybe too impressed. This is another thing I think I have to see it before really believing it, to be honest. But all right, let's move forward. The Cincinnati Reds, this one's a little interesting. With a nod to the vest style jersey the Reds wore more than 2 decades ago, pinstripe uniforms to the foe in a tone on tone style. The sleeve graphic features Tyler Davidson's fountain, which begins flowering each year around opening day. So it's just a basic pinstripe red jersey on red pants with a pinstripe red ball cap, symbolized with the black on black, instead of having the reds on it. Um, um, but they are also, and I guess from my understanding, the Reds are going to wear the black ones on Fridays and the red ones on Saturdays. The Kansas City Royals have more of just a simple, stylish one. The official city of the Fountains logo, inspired by fuchsia to blue gradient, and that highlights Kansas City iconic waterways. A new twist to the R logo pays homage to the team's original 1969 mark, and the heart logo reflects Kansas City's placement in the county's heartland. It's basically just a royal blue cat with the crown as their logo on the cat. You have the R with the crown on top on white jerseys. They're white sleeves, but it is a royal blue stripe on the arm, in blue lettering. Milwaukee Brewers will be honoring the Brew Crew's role not just as Milwaukee's team, but Wisconsin's team. A water tone base and cream accent evoke the Badger State's lakes, shores, and bluffs. and a gradient wordmark is inspired by the state's beautiful summer sunsets. The Wesco lettering on the chest, state motto on the collar, and design barrelman sleeve patch all serve to celebrate the team's history and Wisconsin's rich heritage. So it is more of kind of like this being between powder blue and but it would be for it's kind of like this in between powder blue and royal blue color. It has a W on the bill cap, Wesco on the jersey front, 22 white lettering, white numbers, and it just comes with white pants. The Pittsburgh Pirates are going to pirate style wordmark on the chest draws inspiration from the City 3 sister bridges across the Allegheny River, while red accents and Jolly Roger elements bring a splash of color to the black and gold backbone that elements. But so it's a yellow bill cap with the pirate. You had the swords and the X and the pirate skull. Uh, And then we have the black on black with the yellow pirates that's kind of uh, coming down, and then a yellow stripe on the sleeve, and then there's a yellow stripe down the leg of the pants. The Padres are implementing a new uniform as well, celebrating San Diego's binational culture with the focus on Dia de los Muertos. The design features a chest-worn watermark reflects the sunset, the La Contrina sleeve patch, marigold pattern trim, bone-colored hat pants in the nod to Mexican folk art, a Picado jock tag. So it feel like this is a combination between the 1998 and the 1970 uniforms. Really throwback style. It's a white bill, white cap with a blue bill cap, with the SD, with the S being yellow, the D being blue. It's a kind of like a dark royal navy blue jersey with the a white San Diego on it. It has an orange and yellow stripe. Um, and then its white pants. So it kind of pays homage to that yellow and brown, as well as to the modern day blue that the Padres used to wear. My favorite jerseys, I think, of all time has to be the Padres pinstripe orange and blue. I don't know about you guys. It's just something about that jersey that I really love. Then they wore a solid blue on top of that as an alternate. But the Padres have some new uniforms and the Rangers now. The Rangers also celebrate Mexican heritage near the border with a is it chenille red anchors and a Tijas wordmark across the chest, as well as a chirimbos belt and a mariachi inspired fill pattern. So it's a red ball cap with a letter T, almost like the Texas Longhorns T, and then you have a red jersey. It says Tejas or Texas or with the J. And then it's just coming off of white pants. That is your Nike's 2026 MLB City to Connect jerseys, and additional team apparel are available for fans at MLBshop.com, Nike.com, Fanatics.com, and MLB flagship store in New York City Sting. So um I don't know. I will try to find some pictures. I know that the Reds plan to have this it, the Reds plan to, and a lot of these teams are planning to reveal their City Connect starting this weekend. According to the schedule, the Reds will have their black on black on Friday, and then on Saturday they'll have their red on red. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not too sure about some of these uniforms. The favorite one that pops out right now has to be the Padres. I like the Padres one. Texas seem all right. They don't seem too bad. The Pirates look pretty good, but I've seen the Pirates wear the black on black before, so it really doesn't do much. Milwaukee looks okay. I like the Kansas City one. I really do like the Atlanta one, but I feel like that is a connection. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's move on into our sports conversation here, heading into some sports news. Um, but all right, well, last week we made some headlines, sharing some information about the Pittsburgh Pirates and the 19-year-old making his debut at shortstop, Konnor Griffin. And he was welcomed into a big league with his first hit, an RBI double out to center field. Well, that kind of really popped some noticeable attention as earlier this week it has been announced that um, the Pirates have signed the infielder Connor Griffin to a 9-year contract extension that runs through the 2034 season. Its payable value about up to $150 million to this kid. Now, look, um, I watched this his opening day start. I think it was really well. You're 19 years old. You're not even 20. And you're being offered this mega contract, I presume, for the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates aren't just going to hand out any contracts to you. It is a very lot of pressure, very big situation. Um and look, I think that all right. So let me put it in this perspective. Connor Griffin is 19 years old. He made his debut, which the Pirates must see a lot in him. And that they believe that he could be the future of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So much so that they'd offer him nearly, um, she near that they nearly that we have that she had that the Pirates offered him a 10-year contract extension. And this is I think it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. All right, so let me explain. Let me get back on track with you guys. I apologize. So I believe that this deal, if look, Connor Griffin has some big shoes to fill. To sit here and to say, to be able to make an opening debut at something, you're doing something right, kid. To be able to get called up to the big leagues at the age of 19 and make your debut. Now, look, whatever the Pirates see in him, they're willing to invest 9 years, $140 million. And you know, you can't blame the ball player for wanting to sign that deal, but I do believe that is a risk for the Pirates to take on a kid that I would presume this is something that the Pirates now can work around and build around a shortstop. You think about this 9 years at 19, he'll be 28 years old when he becomes a free agent in 2034. He should still be, if not very well into his prime as a baseball player. But we really don't know what he's capable of doing. And we really don't know if he's injury prone. We don't know if he is going to hit a slump. I believe all good ball players, and this is just how I believe when it comes up to the major leagues, you come up and you're new, you're fresh meat. You have yourself a hot streak. No one's ever seen you before. As a pitcher, you can get away with a lot of things. As a hitter, you can see the ball very well. But I feel like every good player has their slump days. And when you have your slump days, the key regression is how you bounce back from it. And so we haven't seen that yet from Konnor Griffin. And we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what the crystal ball says here for Konnor Griffin's future. Now, I'm not one to oppose and say that I don't like Konnor Griffin. I really enjoyed the moment he had. I really like what I've seen so far here at the major league level. But maybe, and just maybe, Konnor Griffin is bypassing an opportunity. Maybe he does turn into someone special. And in 5, 6 years from now, instead of 9, he could be hitting a market that makes a new record of the highest paid salary. We don't know what the future holds because obviously CBA agreements and whatnot. So does Konnor Griffin, and maybe this is that decision that plays an effect, does Konnor Griffin take advantage of the situation at hand? And that situation is that, well, you don't know what the CBO is going to have. I don't think there's going to be a salary cap. Maybe there will be a salary minimum in this new agreement, but it comes at the expense of here's what the contract holds $140 million. So, Konnor, you're banking on yourself that over the next 9 years, you're going to just get better so that if you stay in Pittsburgh, they're going to offer you. If not, you can go off to a better team. Or you're trying to secure a future that you don't know how good you're going to be in the next couple of years. I know it's counterproductive and counterintuitive here, but it's just the factors that play into this. And, look, Konnor Griffin, congratulations. I wish I can drop $149 million. As a matter of fact, what is that divided by 9? What about $12, $13 or $13 million a year? No, not even that. 15. So 12. I'm gonna have to do the math. What's that and broken down to? Just in ratio. There you go. 140 million divided by 9 years. That's $15 million a year. Think about that for a moment. $15 million a year. It's not bad for a young kid. I would invest. Invest right away. Take it and run. Take it and run. All right. Other news going down among Major League Baseball yesterday. Shohei Ohtani setting records and once again proving just why he is the best player in baseball today, tying Ichiro Suzuki for the longest on-base streak by a Japanese-born player in MLB history. Shohei Ohtani, first Dodger to begin the season with a back-to-back outings of 6 innings of no earned runs since Kenta Maeda back in 2016. The only other ball player to do that was Fernando Valenzuela back in 1985, where he started 4 consecutive seasons back to back, pitching 6 innings in each game, not giving up a single earned run. On top of that, he is also holding the longest active on base streak, which is at 42 coming into play yesterday, moving it to 43, tying Ichiro Suzuki, who did it back in 2029. Now, this is all relevant, including to last year's stats ball claim. Longest active scoreless as a starting pitcher, 22 and a thirds of an inning. And although that came to an end, and the Dodgers did end up losing, the sixth longest on base streak for the Dodgers since modern day in 1900s. Look, Shohei Ohtani is something and someone special, and he is just proving it time and time and time again that this is what the new era of baseball is. So it's fun when you're getting to watch, and it's something that we see once in a lifetime, and we're witnessing that once in a lifetime. So Ichiro Suzuki or Shohei Ohtani making news around the wavelengths. All right, back on Tuesday, a brawl took place between Ronaldo Lopez and Jorge Soler, and this came. I guess Jorge Soler has had some good numbers with Ronaldo Lopez. Matter of fact, took him deep early on Tuesday's ball game. A pitch that was up high and inning, it got away from the catcher in the fifth inning. They got off of a stolen base from Nolan Schunell. Jorge Soler stared down Lopez, and it ended up bringing a brawl out onto the field, emptying both dugouts and bullpens, and punches were thrown. And this was just a nasty brawl. And both players received 7 suspensions after the brawl on Tuesday. Soler, he is 14 and 23 against Ronaldo, 5 home runs, or against Lopez. Um, and he's hitting him pretty well. And this is something that we've seen early on in the year where players are being targeted, or at least assumptions of being targeted, and they take it out on them. So um, I think Lopez already appealed it, and he got 5 game suspension out of it. But man, don't you love good brawls in baseball? Alrighty, I did want to share an article that I did discover earlier this week. I didn't have time to share it. As we approach the NFL draft, we do have some uh, interesting notes. Now, it's kind of clear that Fernando Mendoza is going to be drafted pretty up high in this year's draft. But in comparison to the second highest quarterback right now available in the 2026 class, they're not so far off. So, want to kind of compare them. This was an article that is found on CBS Sports by Mike Renner. It was published back on April 1st. That I'd like to share with you. According to Mike, the arm strength for Mendoza is ranked of a 7. Simpson is ranked of an 8. Mendoza and Simpson have kind of like comparable arms, as one can put a few more RPMs on the ball, especially on the move, but both have more than enough to expand the pocket in the field in the NFL. Accuracy, both of them are ranked as a 7. Okay. Comparisons, Mendoza's 71% completion versus a 64. But some contents is needed. Simpsons receivers dropped 24 more passes this season. That's a 9% drop rate versus a 2% for Mendoza. Also benefits from a RPO heavier offense with 28% is coming in completions coming on. Under pressure, Mendoza is a flat out 10 compared to Simpson as a flat out 9. This is Mendoza's superpower. His mechanics don't change the clean pockets to tight ones. His interceptions on a underthrown crosser against Oregon and an overthrown dig against Iowa were his only truly poor decisions under pressure last season. And both could have ended as incompletions if his receivers had played them differently. Also, in comparison, pocket movement. Simpson's a little bit is ranked number 9 compared to Mendoza number 7. This is Simpson's superpower. His foot quickness is in the pocket is elite to college prospects. His lower half um, reminds Mike as a bit of an Aaron Rodgers. Consistently gets to his throwing base, finds escape lanes, evades defenders, tight spaces. We go down process speed, both is a 9. Um, Mendoza's mastery of X's and O's shows up every week. His average is a 2.6 second time to throw. Um, Decision making. Mendoza a little bit more, ranked as a 9 compared to a 7. Mendoza just threw 12 interceptions over the past 2 seasons, a 900 dropbacks. He protects the football at high levels while diagnosing defense with ease. He also loves the his feel for attacking tight windows, which is only can become more valuable in the NFL. Um, what about frame? Well, Mendoza wins this one 9 out of 3. Mendoza is 6'5", 235 pounds. Despite playing behind California's offense line from 2023 to 2024, he has taken plenty of hits. Just missed one play as a starter. The same can't be said for Simpson, who is 6'1", 211 pounds. Injuries piled up this season, progressed. Lower back issues, gastritis, bursitis, and eventually cracked ribs has knocked him out of the playoffs, lost to Indiana. What about mobility? 5 to 7. Simpson proceeds higher. Even without 40 times, the two likely have similar straight line speed. The difference shows up in the agility and the change of direction, where Simpson stands out on top. Overall, Mendoza's a 63, Simpson's a 55. Uh, so sizable in some areas, tighter in others. Mendoza offers a higher floor based on what seems to be on tape, particularly because of his frame and lower injury risk. Otherwise, the offer is similar to front tools in the standpoint. So, all right. So with this information, okay, first round of the draft coming April 23rd. With this information, which one is a better quarterback? Now, the clear indication, I think it's pronounced to say that Fernando Mendoza is the better quarterback. Feel like he hits a lot of feet. He looks better. What I look into a quarterback has to resemble two things. And for me, when I look at a quarterback, I reflect back to Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and the skill levels and combination. If you're an NFL team that's going into the draft looking for the top and have the opportunity to draft a quarterback, Simpson is just as good as Mendoza in the draft. In order to see that on the field, in order to use Simpson in his full capacity, you have to protect him, right? Which NFL team now has the ability and has the offensive line to protect their quarterback? The other issue that you run into, and injuries reflect, right, is that you have a guy that is able to move out of the pocket. He has speed. He's able to still set his feet comfortably and make throws. The concerning factor has to be really realistically the injuries. He's able to make decisions on the fly. But when you look at who's your best option as quarterback, speed's there, decision making, which I love about this. You need to be able to come up to the line and within 3 to 5 seconds, analyze that defense, be able to make new plays, and then be able to adjust to that. Recognizing what the defense has to offer. Tom Brady was the only person who did it. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, two people who's done it better. So when asked, better, this is just a comparison rating. Don't overlook Ty Simpson. The only thing that I don't like is that we automatically associate Mendoza to the Las Vegas Raiders. And this is the draft fate. And if you're not, if this is, I feel like there's are better teams that he could become a star, and you have a opportunity to become a star, and you're going to be tossed in to the Raiders, who I think are long ways away from success, and therefore I don't. That's the reason why I don't really like this deal. I don't know. All right, let's spend the last few minutes here talking about the WWE, talking about WrestleMania 42, and talking about just what's to come here. Looks like the Cincinnati Reds aren't doing so well. They have given up um, some runs here early on in this game. Let's see where we're at so far. 4-1. And boy, not looking like a good day. So, clarification. Let's talk about this. So, there's been some criticism about Pat McAfee's involvement into Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton's storyline. And reports clarify TKO's influences on WWE creative. As noted, McAfee was revealed as a mystery person talking to Randy Orton amid his WrestleMania feud with Cody Rhodes. Accumulating in McAfee's appearance on WWE SmackDown, where he low blow kicked Cody Rhodes and then cut a promo about WWE hand left Attitude Era fans behind, and business was down, leaving Orton to save the industry. Ari Emanuel was the person behind the decision to bring McAfee into the storyline, which had reportedly been the case at least far back as Elimination Chamber. A fan asked about TKO's sudden influence on WWE's creative and in the latest fight selection answer Q&A, and Sheen Ross Sapp offered some clarifications. That's what he had to say. Running roughshod on creations, and Triple H is still in charge of the week-to-week creativity. It is noted that this is not a sudden thing either. Emmanuel was an important factor in getting The Rock involved in last year's WrestleMania build. Emmanuel is not getting involved in the creative for most storylines and has made one or two executive decisions, but ultimately Triple H remains head of the company. Here's my problem with TKO, Ari Emanuel. I got nothing negative to say, but here's my problem with that situation. Okay. We don't follow through with the storyline. Okay. It would be a better, it would be more acceptable if the storyline made sense to what this angle was. Okay. It made no sense, still in my beliefs, it made no sense for Pat McAfee to get involved. It makes no angles for what Pat McAfee said. Sure, there's indication about ticket prices, and yes, that's an issue, and we've had those conversations, but there's just no reason for Pat McAfee to get involved. Knowing that he is, and you can't separate a show and his Pat McAfee show to what he does in the ring. And so, sure, there may be solid points, but I don't see the purpose for this to take place. Same thing for The Rock. I wouldn't mind The Rock to return under the interpretation that he follows through with the storyline. Now, we know The Rock is not a, daily, back on the WWE roster on a day-to-day basis. It's a come and go. He's a part-time, and I get that. But where, if you're going to have him come out, that we have been intrigued about this. Okay, we wanted to see where the story goes. But when you start the story heading into WrestleMania and you get us invested and then it goes haywire, maybe, we want to see that. The Rock attended the last couple years on the road to WrestleMania and then out of nowhere backed out. Last year, he was part of this decision of turning Cody Rhodes in a certain direction, and we haven't seen him there yet. So if his role is going to be limited and not so much up front and center on camera, then it needs to stay behind the scenes where it's not confusing to the storyline and you're asking yourself, what direction is that story going to go in, or what direction is the WWE going? You're giving us false hope. We want to see Pat McAfee. We want to see The Rock, but where you're implementing them into the storyline just does not make adequate sense to the viewership or to the story base. There was nothing needed, okay, heading into WrestleMania between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. There was no outsider that can make the storyline better. There was nothing that needed to take place. So my point is that if you are going to tease us about throwing someone in there, it needed to be someone worth the value. Well, you ask yourself then this question: who is of value in this storyline? You have Dustin Rhodes, you have Ted DiBiase, you have just some sort of WWE Hall of Famer, Ric Flair, for example. They have all been tied in links towards Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton throughout their career. That makes 10 times more sense than Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, to me, I understand, hey, you came back and you're sick and tired of Cody Rhodes, but that comes out of nowhere. And it doesn't really resonate for much. You're trying to tell me this story while we're trying to understand the voices inside Randy Orton's head. You're telling us about how TKO is corrupted thanks to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is the reason why TKO WWE cannot progress forward, and that is also thanks to TKO's prices. Where that made no absolute sense to me. And so it's frustrating when you see possible great feuds because they have great potential to be solid feuds that can make a lot of money, and it goes a wayside. It gets pushed to the back burner. WWE has the tendency of time and time and time again to miss out on opportunities and feuds, not because of injuries, but because of executive decisions to twist the storyline, forcing the fans to get too belligerent to the point where you don't have a choice but to change the narrative of that feud. The majority of the fans are not as the rest of the fans, so to speak, like myself. We are not in the position. We here will just accept whatever you give us because we grew up and we lived, breathed, and bled WWE. So we will adapt to the change. Is a demand. But because there's other wrestling out there, you do have to take a look in the mirror. CM Punk made that very clear. Adapt or change. So sure, we're addressing an issue that doesn't need to be addressed at this moment, not in these feuds. CM Punk did quite well. Pat McAfee didn't have a place or time for it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments yourself. Look, this is all the time I have. I want to appreciate everyone for tuning in. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Have those notifications on. We will come back tomorrow. And when we come back tomorrow, we'll get you guys ready for the Reds and the Angels series 3-game weekend, the new City Connect uniforms. We'll also get you guys ready for the weekend sports in Cincinnati as Bearcats baseball is underway. We have WWE, SmackDown, the road to WrestleMania. We are on that verge. Beginning Monday, we will get you ready for the upcoming matches and our ultimate predictions. But until then, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.